70 members of Congress now plan to boycott Donald Trump's fascist performative State of the Union. Donald Trump, MAGA Republicans, state regime media, they are losing their minds at just how big the MeidasTouch Network's People State of the Union has grown. The popularity of the People State of the Union has exploded. At first, they just thought it was going to be 10, 20, 30. Well, now there are over 70 members of Congress who will be boycotting the State of the Union. This is historic in scale and scope, and the message that everybody's sending together who's boycotting. We will not normalize this authoritarian fascist regime. And as I mentioned, MAGA is losing their minds. You had Maria Bartiromo bringing on MAGA Republicans, and they're like, can you believe the boycott? Can you believe it? Here, play this clip.
It's incredible to me that it appears to be that the Democrats are so angry about President Trump's success. He's been so successful on so many levels and has done things so fast that now the Democrats are boycotting. Some of them are boycotting the State of the Union. Adam Schiff, Mr. Russia collusion himself, said he's not going to show up to the State of the Union tomorrow night, Congressman. We'll be watching that one. Good to see you, sir. Thank you. Congressman Buddy Carter this morning in Georgia. We'll be right back. Stay with us.
Then you had Jesse Waters moments ago saying, and this is a historic boycott. The scale of this thing is just bigger than anybody expected. Well, because we're not normalizing fascism anymore, Waters, okay? And by the way, Waters, your mom would understand a thing or two about that, and you should have taken her advice when you became a host at Fox, not to be a propaganda state regime media shill, but here you are, Jesse. Here, play this clip right here.
Isn't it? Dana just said I opened her eyes, so just trying to process that for a second. Feels good. Barack Obama said there's not a liberal America, there's not a conservative America, there's a United States of America. Joe Biden always saying we can do everything we want to if we just work together. Schumer, Hakeem, bipartisanship, reach across the aisle. And the one night of national unity, State of the Union, they boycott. And not only just boycott, it is a historic boycott. And you're starting to see a pattern. Whenever there's a moment of national unity, the Dems don't get down with it. Like the Olympics, everyone's happy about the hockey and they just dump all over it. Super Bowl, Bad Bunny, couldn't understand it, okay? Thanksgiving, they tell people not to invite us to Thanksgiving. They say don't even date a Republican. This is what's going on here. We have to, as grown-ups, do things sometimes we don't want to do, like Brian's book parties. I don't want to go, but I show up because it's the right thing to do.
And I respect that.
And these people are getting paid to come here tonight. Right. It's like a game of hooky. And if you're like an AOC, who's running for president, or you're like an Eric Swalwell who's running for governor, don't you want to show the people back home you're in the game? There's like 10 million eyeballs on the screen tonight. Show up. Even if you got a little sourpuss look on your face, at least show your voters you're in it.
And again, throughout state regime media, they continue to attack the MeidasTouch Network. And I think they're all just in shock at how big the People's State of the Union has become. Here you have Ari Fleischer, a Fox News contributor. Here's what they were saying. Watch them whine. Play this clip.
This idea of boycotting the other party, Democrats love to do it because they cannot stand for tolerance. They cannot accept other views. And it is one of their biggest Achilles heels.
So from one state regime network to another state regime network, here's Newsmax as they were whining about the size of the MeidasTouch Network, along with Move On. Hat tip to our great friends at Move On, who have been doing such a great job at the People's State of the Union. Here's what they were talking about on Newsmax, and they brought in Congresswoman Marionette Miller-Meeks. Here, play this clip.
I'd like to get your thoughts about the folks who say, you know what, I don't like this president, I don't like his policies, I'm not going to go. I'm going to go have a protest someplace. You know, they seem to be in D.C., less and less as it is, and not getting their jobs done when they are there. And now they're going to skip this?
Well, to your point, so I voted for President Trump all 3 times. So I attended the inauguration ceremonies of President Biden. I attended every single joint address to Congress, State of the Union, that President Biden came. I was respectful. You respect the office of the president, regardless of who occupies that office. So I may have disagreed with the policies. I didn't personally attack individuals, but you have your disagreements. That's what elections are for. But you attend, you be respectful. And I certainly have not seen that from both sides of the aisle, but that's my personal philosophy. I think it goes back to what you learned in kindergarten, and that is the golden rule. You treat other people how you want to be treated.
More from Newsmax right here as they are whining and complaining about the size, scale, and scope of the People's State of the Union. Let's play this clip.
So my reaction is, who cares?
All right. Well, Nicole, I care, and I think a lot of people care.
I care.
Nicole, your reaction. Don't you think it's a little shocking that members of Congress are not going to sit there and listen to the President of the United States, no matter what party they're in?
Well, Barney, I don't know if you recall at last year's State of the Union, the Democrats embarrassed themselves in what was probably one of the most heinous displays of political performatism by refusing to stand for angel moms who certainly care, Barney, because they lost their children to illegal immigration as a result of your party's policies. They refuse to stand for a child with cancer, for veterans, for many more people whose lives the president has made so much better. And Rita, I'll say I'm actually glad that the people who are being honored again this year, many of them victims of Democrat policies, will not have to witness that level of disrespect and evil. These Democrats are cowards, and they're boycotting the State of the Union because they're petty, they're weak, and they're jealous of all the incredible things this president has done, from removing close to 3 million illegal aliens to reducing illegal border crime.
Earlier in the day, you had MAGA Mike Johnson delivering a press conference where he attacked the MeidasTouch network and said that it's shameful, I tell you, what the MeidasTouch network is doing. Play this clip.
It's shameful that they would boycott an address. We don't do that. Republicans don't do that. It doesn't matter if there's a president from the opposing party. We don't skip out. Our constituents want and need us to be here. Every member of this House represents over 750,000 people. They're disenfranchised if you're not sitting in the seat to be a part of the role and the responsibility of Congress. I think it's shameful. Republicans have a far simpler and far superior message for Americans watching at home. We're putting more money back in your pockets. We're restoring peace through strength. We're defending our border and deporting criminal illegal aliens. We're standing up for American industry and manufacturing. And we're making American workers, not foreign countries, the clear winners in this American economy. Those are not talking points. That is what we have delivered. It's called Republican results. And we are proud to run on that message in this fateful midterm election year.
And then MAGA Mike Johnson gave an entire interview with CBS where he said that it's shameful, I tell you. Here, play this clip right here.
I think it's going to be a great celebration for our side. I think the admonition for decorum is to the other team. You saw the antics that they put on display, the Democrats, during the last State of the Union. I had to actually
Republicans over the years have been known to perform their own bits of antics. And
at every turn, I have encouraged my colleagues to maintain decorum and the dignity of the office. I think it's important for the institution and for the American people to see. I think what we should put on display tonight, I told my colleagues this morning, is what the USA hockey teams did in the Olympics. We play for one team. We're all for America. I think it's detestable that members would boycott the speech. We've never done that. It doesn't matter if there's a Democrat president. You go and respect the office. You respect the decorum, the institution, the tradition of having had this speech made. And it's sad to me that Democrats are choosing to opt out of that.
This episode of the MeidasTouch podcast is brought to you by Graza, makers of crazy fresh olive oil and other delicious stuff made with crazy fresh olive oil. Graza's got everything you need to roast, toast, grill, and garnish with flair and flavor, upgrade all your favorite recipes, and maybe even try something new. I've been obsessed with Graza since way before they were even a sponsor. There's extra virgin olive oil for cooking and dressing, Frizzle high heat cooking oil for grilling and frying, and brand new olive oil mayos for dipping and spreading. It's top shelf stuff for everyday enjoyment. Graza makes my olive oil of choice. It's top-notch olive oil at an affordable everyday price. Their olive oil is always fresh, never blended, and made from the world's best olives, and you can actually see the harvest date on every bottle. They've got sizzle for everyday cooking, sautéing, marinating, roasting, drizzle for finishing, like dressing salads or dipping bread, and frizzle for high heat cooking like baking, grilling, and frying. And if you're a foodie like me, you could really taste the freshness. It's everyday olive oil, but done way better, and you can literally see where and when it was harvested right on the bottle. Plus, new in stores only, Graza mayo and aioli, original, fancy, and garlic. So head to graza.co and use Meidas to get 10% off your first order of olive oil, and be sure to look for Graza mayo the next time you're at your local grocery store. That's graza.co and use code Meidas to get 10% off your first order of olive oil. MEIDAS.
Now, what is corporate news doing adjacent to state regime media? Well, you have CNN, people like Jake Tapper, and you've got people like Jonathan Karl, the corporate media folk. And they're bragging that they got the privilege of having access to Donald Trump today. So Donald Trump brought in all corporate news into the White House, and they had an off-the-record and some on-the-record convo about what to expect. So Donald Trump gave the corporate news people access, and then they went out and they said, well, here's what Donald Trump's gonna say. Here's what he's going to do. We don't do that here at the MeidasTouch Network because we don't spread fascist propaganda here, okay? That's not what we're doing here. Great, you had the privilege of meeting with Donald Trump, a fascist who has put ICE and Border Patrol, SS, Gestapo, Nazi paramilitaries out on the street, killing people in this country, throwing them into concentration camps. You've got Donald Trump and his DOJ covering up a child sex trafficking ring, actual pedo protection racket going on in 1600 Pennsylvania, and you're bragging about the privilege of going into the White House, which is the center of the Epstein class cabal? Here, play this clip right here.
A week tonight, President Trump is 3 hours from delivering his annual update to Congress. As is tradition, several anchors and reporters had the privilege of eating lunch with the president at the White House before the State of the Union so he could share with us off the record his thoughts on where the country's going, what he wants to say. He gave us a little bit on the record about some of what he's going to say tonight, including plans to advocate for a form of tax cuts, corporate and mostly personal, he said, and to announce deals with AI and tech firms for data centers that consume so much electricity from local communities. On the record, he said tonight's pitch would be that, quote, the country is about to have the best 3 years economically in the nation's history, and it's already started, unquote. And amid the massive U.S. military buildup and threat of conflict with Iran, the president said that Tehran wants to make a deal more than he does, but so far the Iranians have been unwilling to say explicitly the sacred phrase that they will not build nuclear weapons. It remains to be seen, of course, how much the president is willing to work with the lawmakers who are going to be sitting in front of them. He has said just this week he doesn't need them, even for things that the U.S. Constitution suggests is their responsibility, such as imposing tariffs or declaring a war. The president will be face to face with at least some of the Supreme Court justices who just a few days ago ruled that, yeah, he actually does need to work with Congress to impose a sweeping permanent tariffs regime. CNN Chief White House.
More from that was Jake Tapper. Here's what Jonathan Karl says. You see how these corporate news folk talk about all of this? It's the same language. They just parrot. Donald Trump told us. Donald Trump said we're in an economic boom. Donald Trump told us everybody can afford homes. Donald Trump told us that the best is yet to come. And Donald Trump told, Donald Trump's a liar. Donald Trump's a felon. Donald Trump is a sexual predator. Donald Trump is a bankrupter. Okay? I don't need to hear Donald Trump said. Anyway, play this clip of Jonathan Karl. Here, play this clip.
Hey, I just left the White House, or I'm just leaving now. The president did a lunch with network news anchors and offered a bit of a preview of his speech. One notable thing, we did talk about Iran. He said that Iran wants a deal more than I do, but they just can't say the magic words, which he said was that they won't build a bomb. The president said he's going to talk a lot about the economy, and he's going to call for new tax cuts tonight, and he's going to say that the next 3 years in America will be the best years economically that we've ever had, and he's going to say or he told us it's already begun. So that's here at the White House, just leaving lunch with the president and network anchors.
And then on Jake Tapper, he brought on people like MAGA Republican Senator Rick Scott, who bragged that his guest at the State of the Union is going to be Kevin O'Leary, the Canadian who said that Canada needs to become a 51st state. Here, play this clip.
This week, joining us now, Republican Senator Rick Scott of Florida, and his guest for the speech tonight, the chairman of O'Leary Ventures and Shark Tank Judge Kevin O'Leary. Thanks to both of you.
But let's contrast that to what's going on at the People's State of the Union, where Congresswoman Ansari talks about the guest that she will be bringing to the MeidasTouch Network's People's State of the Union. Here, play this clip.
Good afternoon. I'm Congresswoman Yasamin Ansari. I represent Phoenix, Glendale, and Guadalupe. Tonight, I will be skipping Donald Trump's State of the Union because I refuse to sit there while he lies and refuse to normalize the most corrupt and the most authoritarian administration in American history. So tonight, I will be joined by Sonia Alvarez, whose loved one is Yadi. Yadi has leukemia. She's my constituent who has been locked up in ICE detention for more than a year. She has been denied critical medical care that she needs. Both Sonia and I have gone to visit her. I've witnessed her vomit blood. I've witnessed the weight loss she's endured, the pain that she's in, and it is unacceptable that while Yadi is locked up in this detention center, Donald Trump is going to be inside the chambers lying to the American people about his record.
And Fox just kept on losing their minds about the size of this Midas. Oh, by the way, we're just finding out the number is now 72 Democrats. 72 will be boycotting this fascist State of the Union, and they'll be attending the People's State of the Union. Going back to a moment. Here's what's going on Fox moments ago as well. You had the DNC chair, Ken Martin, being asked by Fox, well, what do you think about this boycott? Here, play this clip.
Dozens of lawmakers are set to boycott the speech, talking about 3 dozen, in fact, might be more. The DNC chair is Ken Martin. We welcome him to America's Newsroom. And, sir, thank you for your time. It's a significant day, and we'll see how it goes tonight. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, Bill. Thanks for having me.
Are you telling your Democratic colleagues to show up or stay away?
Well, I'm not telling them what to do. I respect whatever decision they make, whether they want to attend in person or whether they decide to stay away. The fact of the matter is each has to make their own decision here. Of course, I don't begrudge the folks who have decided to actually not attend tonight. Why put yourself through listening to 2 hours of a bunch of lies from the President of the United States? And so, you know, the reality is I respect the decisions of every Democrat. They have to make their own decisions here.
Okay. But, see, here's one Democrat, Senator John Fetterman, on what he's going to do.
I do plan to go to the State of the Union. And then I do hope all the other Democrats that choose to come, that we don't do the same kinds of things that happened at the last year. I mean, it was really undignified. And just the thing, no, I don't care who the president is. Don't yell and disrupt that. It's like you really should respect the office.
He was referring to Democrat Al Green waving his cane last year at President Trump. How concerned are you about members acting out?
Well, look, again, it's not my job to tell members of Congress what to do and how to act. At the end of the day, they're going to have to make their own decisions, again, whether or not to attend and what they do and say during the speech. Look, this president has shown no respect to the American people.
Stephen A. Smith was very upset about this boycott. He's like, how can you be having the moral high ground if you don't show up at the State of the Union? You're no better than them. We have to show up to the State of the Union, and that makes us no better than people who are wearing masks and killing people and throwing people into concentration camps. Really? That's how you equate the two things together? By not showing up, that makes Democrats as bad as the Trump regime's DOJ covering up a child sex trafficking. I don't fully understand the logic, Stephen A. Here, play this clip.
The president of the United States is going to give his State of the Union address, and the Democrats got other plans. So some are talking about walking out in the middle of his speech. Others are talking about boycotting it altogether and essentially finding something else to do. I'm here to tell you that neither is acceptable. Neither should be acceptable. At some point in time, ladies and gentlemen, there's got to be an adult in the room. if you're going to act as juvenile, as petulant, as petty, as you accuse the president of the United States to be, how are you ever going to hold a high moral ground, at least high enough to judge him accordingly? If people on the right can turn and look at you and say, you're no better, you act no better, where's it going to get you?
Then more whining from state regime media. There are 72 Democrats refusing to go to the State of the Union. This is some of the most disrespectful things we've ever seen. Here, play this clip.
No, 100%. And that's exactly what President Trump can do, because this is the message that Republicans are going to take out to the midterms. The notes in which he echoes tonight will be exactly what you hear Republicans say on the stump. And you keep in mind, this is a president that's going to be out there. It's almost as if he was running for election. They're going to have him on the campaign trail. I'm expecting the president to deliver in a way in which the American people expect him to, presidentially, and tell them what's in it for them. What has he done over the course of a year? And I can tell you, he's accomplished a great deal cleaning up the mess of Joe Biden's presidency, but there's much more to be done.
A lot of the Democrats who are boycotting, though, did give some of their tickets to Epstein survivors, and some of the Democrats who will be attending the State of the Union are bringing Epstein survivors. So at the actual State of the Union, which will not be live streaming here, Epstein survivors will be wearing teal scarves, which represents sexual assault awareness and prevention. You'll also see butterfly pins, Joe Khalil explains, which is a symbol for Virginia Giuffre, a victim who was among the first to go public. She took her own life this year. So you've got that going on. By the way, Donald Trump's guest is Erica Kirk. That's who he's bringing there, apparently. Donald Trump has told those reporters that he expects the State of the Union to last about 3 hours in length. And, senators like Chris Murphy continue to post about how they will be attending the People's State of the Union. And Move On and MeidasTouch and others. So, look forward to the People's State of the Union. If you're wondering where do you watch it at 8 Eastern, you'll see it in our live feed here on this YouTube channel. Just take a look in our live feed. You'll see it right there. There's already people in the waiting room right now. So go there right now. Check it out. We'll see you soon. Live from the National Mall, the People's State of the Union. See you soon.
The truth is more important than ever. Check out our new Truth Over Lies collection at store.MeidasTouch.com. All 100% USA Union made.